So I developed a new sense of confidence that I can deal with things, and when things are hard, remain calm and you'll be fine.
The first day is always super interesting because we always tell our participants that there is no program, because then they constantly are being surprised. Some have a background in cold exposure or high performance techniques, but a lot of them don't. They're just curious. The day one is like building a foundation of a house, and building that foundation, one of the parts is that we don't tell the program.
With the reason to
become more flexible, because you can plan your day, but in most cases back home, your day also constantly changes. And to become more resilient in those changes, you need flexibility, and that's what we train here. For example, we start in the morning reasonably relaxed, explaining certain type of high performance breathing techniques. But then give the first surprise, and in this case today, and it changes every time, so I can share it with you. Today it was like coming up in your shorts, no shirt, barefoot, and we go out. And going out means here going out with temperature around freezing point. So we learn them a breathing technique to handle that cold situation.
We create the circumstances in which they can challenge themselves. And of course it's not, you see the ice, right? You see the ice all the time and the snow, and this week we don't have ice and snow. I'm quite happy with that actually. Temperatures are still really low. But it's not about that. Again, the cold is a circumstance we use. It's a context we use for people to experience themselves. And like you can meditate for hours a day, and you can read books about spirituality, and you can do Tony Robbins things and stuff like that. But you can still kind of cheat yourself. Like you can meditate and still be snoozing off, or still be doing your to-do lists in the back of your head, or just sit there and like, I'm super enlightened. But if you go into the cold water, there's just absolutely no cheating yourself. You just have to be there, and you have to feel where you are, and you have to focus into yourself.
Where I live, there was a guy who was doing a training, one-day training. So I went to that, and it was my first time sitting in an ice bath. My body felt phenomenal after I got out. So I went back and I was talking to my wife. I was telling her how great I felt, and I said, I want to get a group of friends that we can go to one of these trainings that they do. And literally 2 days later, out of the blue, one of my friends emailed me that's here on the trip and said, we're going to Iceland for this trip. Do you want to go? And it's actually my 40th birthday on Monday. So I'm going to be gone for the trip. So I asked my wife if she minded, and she said, this is a once in a lifetime thing. It was serendipitous. You need to go. So that's how I ended up here. Today's breath work, it was really intense. It was kind of what I was looking for. I felt tingling. I felt like a real sense of euphoria, followed by a lot of relaxation, which is hard for me to get.
So my why was to discover powers that are latent inside of me, and to cultivate those powers and to use them to lead a healthier, happier, more fulfilling and longer life. So this is my second time. I did Poland before, and what I found was it went a lot better than I expected. Poland went great too, but it was a little bit more jarring. It was kind of like a deer in headlights. Whereas this experience, I found that I was able to click into that mindset of just be with yourself and it was something I was almost able to turn on and off.
I remember I came into the room by myself. I was just panicking in my room, and I was like, how am I going to survive all this cold? And I had no idea what was going to happen. And then Ingvild and Daniel came into the room, and they asked me, how do you feel? Well, I got kind of teary and panicking. And I was just so nervous. And they were like, it's going to be okay. But I slept really well. Then this morning we did the breathing, and then that helped me a lot, I think, to get calm.
That was the first exercise?
It was the first exercise of the day, and they probably did that on purpose.
Yeah.
So that helped. I actually felt during every exercise, at some point I didn't feel the cold. So they're like, well, if I can feel that, then I can handle all those things. Yeah, I think walking in the water was the hardest because we were walking on rocks in the water to get as deep where you could sit down. Then sitting down was pretty hard, but then we just had to breathe out and then sit, so don't think too much. We had to do it with a buddy, which was nice. We were just holding hands. They were sitting, and at some point I was fine. It'd be awesome if you can do that all the time.
My experience of it was the water was cold. I expected it to be cold. There was nothing unexpected. The experience I had was I immediately, when I was submerged in the water, instead of thinking about, oh, this is cold, oh my gosh, this hurts, I was thinking, how long are other people staying in? And so I got really egoic about it. I got competitive about it, and I immediately came out because I had the wrong intention. I felt I was completely missing the point because I would have muscled through and sit there the longest. And so I ended up getting out after.
And was the same thing going on when you're with the hands?
No, because it was timed.
Okay.
So I wouldn't take my hands out ever because it was timed, and so it was easy. And so, but the undeterminate time, I became more competitive.
Okay.
So I think that's not the point of this exercise. So tomorrow I look forward to trying to be in my own space and get through the experience, with my partner or alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
wow.
Yeah. It's a great experience.
We build buddies. You have the two people working together, and usually they don't know each other before they come here. So we mix it up. That really helps to interconnect. Like people who knew each other have to work with other people, and it helps to interconnect the group. And that builds this strong layer. But of course it's alive. But the aliveness just becomes more because they start to know each other. And so for tomorrow it's going to be fun to play with them a little more. And they probably will hate us at some points in the week because we will challenge them, and then they will love us afterwards.
What I can say about today is that today, the theme of today was going back to the core, and that means to go back to a power that is already inside of you. The program is built in a way that everybody with every physical condition can participate.
This morning when we went to the national park was not what I expected. I didn't have the greatest experience. I was not in a really focused state, and so I was in my head thinking about it the entire time and afterwards. So it wasn't great.
The first moment would be when we all went in the lake at the park, the national park. So everyone went in, we were all cheering, and I was finding it pretty difficult. It was a lot colder than I expected, and I was distracted because everyone was cheering, and it was kind of a fun thing. And then everyone left, and I planned to leave, but my partner wasn't leaving, so I stayed with him. And then I was able to just focus and kind of say, okay, let's just click in. And that's when I realized, hey, I can just turn this thing on. Because then the pain went away, the discomfort went away, and I was totally fine. So that was a big moment. And in the lake, I just focused on one point on the mountain, just staring at it. The river, I got to the point where, okay, I can kind of look around and enjoy the scenery, but still be with myself. So I think it's one of those things you can progress in to the point where I could probably have a conversation with someone, but still be with myself. And that would be great. I don't think I'm quite there.
The breathing was really good because I do the breathing every day on my own, but I do it a lot walking as I'm going. It doesn't take as long to do the retention, but it was really good to do it in a group because, like I said, I always do it alone. So to do it in a group was fun. Definitely got tingly and had a good experience, but the cold exposure stuff for me was more of the journey.
In the beginning we were all talking, and at some point we couldn't talk anymore. So you really had to be with yourself and with your own voice, and you had the choice: either I'm gonna make myself crazy, or I'm just gonna be chill. I'm gonna prepare myself because I'm going to do this. So let's bring it on. That's the attitude that you should have, and that really helps. Yeah. And then working with a buddy, going with your buddy, going into the water and preparing each other. So it was easier again than I made it in my mind. I'm more calm with everything because I know I can do it.
But how do you feel about
No, 2 more days. I'm confident. Yes. Because
oh, sorry.
No, because I feel confident because tonight was just hard.
They are at the spot in the program where we really want them to be right now. So I guess this is the point where a lot of people joining start to like think, we've done this and that and this and that. You know, we've been into we're 48 hours in and we've been into the water 3 times in this case, and we've done breathing. What more can they come up with? Probably it's repeating, and there we still have some things up our sleeves.
I do quite well with the cold, but then like it's the bare feet on the grass and I'm like, oh man, they are not doing things like feeling. And so I'm like, okay, like this is gonna be a little harder than I expected, and I'm like, just be okay with it. You don't need to feel your feet. So much of what we're experiencing is the expectation of things, like our feet are supposed to feel warm, they're supposed to feel things. And when you let go of the expectation that it's supposed to be a certain way, you just accept exactly what's happening, and it becomes far more pleasant. I think that's my goal in life, is to just continue to stop expecting things and let go, and this amplifies that. Like doing the full immersion was where I really started to I thought I'd be fine. I was like, I didn't have any fear leading up, because I'm like, oh, we're gonna do what we're gonna do. It's gonna suck or it's not, whatever it's gonna be. And right as I was gonna get in the water, I actually started having far more fear than I was like, oh shit, I'm cold. I was like, what if I can only go in for 10 seconds? And hearing the dialogue and then just allowing that to come up. And then, we were like the second people in the water, and we go out there and I'm like up to my, my waist, and I hadn't really gone full shoulders. And finally, Daniel's like, go under. And so DJ, my partner, was under, and I was like, all right, fuck it. Let's go. And I just went, and we ended up sitting there for a couple minutes, and looked around and nobody's left, and I was like, oh shit. And the dialogue got very and again, it's the expectation. If this isn't supposed to be this bad, I'm not supposed to hurt this much, and then letting go.
Yeah, the last session was just most incredible. The end result is that I feel very serene and peaceful and all natural, no substances. Had a great 3 repeats of breathing with retention, and then the other kind of breathing with squeezing and all this, and just the feeling was amazing. We had 4 runs of it, and basically 3 times quite high, really in a positive and very, again, serene and peaceful way. And the 4th time, when I took the permission to squeeze and retain a little longer, I felt exponentially better, higher. I know it sounds corny and you know, when you say that you felt one with the universe, people tend to run out of the room, but that's really what I felt, especially the fourth time. So,
Day 3, probably my favorite day so far. Day 2, so the night of day 2 was the night swim. Yeah. And that was, I feel like, the turning point for everyone. Like, oh, we can do whatever. So I feel like there was a big shift that happened from the night that turned to day 3 being a much just stronger, like everybody feels capable going in as opposed to the massive amount of fear that's been like, and when you said the theme of the day is change, I'm like, fuck yes, I love change. So, and then the meditation was awesome. Because for me, that's like my zone. And I have this tattoo here to feed the wolf, and I have these 2 wolves that I see with me at all times. There's the bad wolf and the good wolf, and the good wolf is this white wolf, and there's this dog here that looks like a white wolf. And like 3 minutes into the meditation, and I open my eyes and I'm like, if that's not a fucking sign that this is not exactly the time to keep going, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, we did dynamic meditation. I guess we did a lot of meditation yesterday. Yeah, we for a whole hour we had to close our eyes, which I thought was going to be a challenge. There were 5 different stages where we had to go through. I believe just breathe really intensively, in our nose, out with our nose, but all eyes closed. And there was music playing and getting us into a certain vibe. And just letting yourself be, which I found really hard in the beginning because I was really conscious about what I was doing. And I mean, you and Daniel were the only ones that could see us, but still, you too, I mean, still people were looking at you. If you would be alone in the room, I wonder how that would be. But everyone was wearing a blindfold or closing their eyes so they couldn't see you. And then the next phase, there was 10 minutes, and then the next phase you had to act out, look for the emotions that came up in the meditation and express them. I told myself, just be with it, just the same as I tell myself in the cold, actually. But it kind of brought me back to a time in my tennis career where I had a lot of physical pain during conditionings or strength training. And I'm always kind of harsh to myself in that. I don't want to go anymore. Oh, this is so tough. And I was just like, just try to love it, embrace the pain. I want this. It's good. It's whatever. It can be there. So I was kind of nicer to myself.
I've done a lot of breath work in yoga and in meditation, and so it was great because some of the tools I learned in a different way, and what I liked about this method is I got to learn a new way of doing it and how to apply it, so I feel like it's another option and another way to navigate, and that's something I think a skill set that I'll never forget how to do and something that I'll be able to do for the rest of my life.
There is a space that you still need to discover. There are energies in the body, in the spirit that we can activate, and this activation is impressive. It's amazing.
It's not intuitive that you would go into adverse conditions or difficult conditions and come out feeling joyous and connected.
It's not about the bucket list experience. It's connecting with people from all over the world that have the same interest as you, and you go to an experience that people at home will never get. Only the people here in this room in Iceland here this week will understand what they are going through.
So today the plan is to go on a hike, and we found a really great trail which we want to climb alongside a hot river with hot springs on top. But today the weather is really heavy and it's raining, which will bring the chill factor really low. So we have to make an assessment whether it's safe or not to go. I think the trail is okay. We give them the option to join or to stay. And then when they join, they can choose to either go bare-chested or with clothes on.
So we hiked up a mountain. The conditions were extremely windy, 80 kilometers an hour, kind of windy, or maybe even more, and rain pelting you, and we were just wearing shorts. And I got to about 15 minutes from the top, it was about an hour, and I knew that I was feeling too cold. And part of what Daniel said was, don't take pictures, you know, be very focused on the way up or you're gonna get cold. I took some pictures, I thought, hey, you know, I've mastered this, I've got this, I can just turn it on. I got too cold, and then I had a hard time turning it on, but apparently there were hot springs at the top. So I said, just make it to the top, you'll be fine, you'll get in the hot springs. We get to the top, they were not very hot. They were lukewarm at best. I then got in, that was a mistake.
The weather was really bad and we went on the hike. Daniel and Ing said it was optional, you know, we didn't have to do it. But as soon as they said it was optional, I felt like, oh, this is just a decision for me to make. I'm going to make the decision, I'm going to do it. And it turned out to be one of the most rewarding ways to have finished the week, I think. You know that you are cold, but you know that you are breathing, you are concentrating, you are trying to find all the strategies that we have learned before to arrive. We were totally wet. I think when I came to the car, I had like water in my shoes.
We did the mountain hike yesterday. Brutal weather, rain pouring down, stinging my back, but climbing it in nothing but shorts and shoes was not a problem. I actually felt great. I had a lot of gratitude while we were climbing, and part of it was that we are fortunate enough, all of us that were here, are fortunate enough to voluntarily get to do things like this, to push our boundaries and get us out of our comfort zone. And I watched tourists walking by us, just looking at us in shock. Like, what are you doing? As they're shivering in their fully covered, you know, rain gear, and we're out there in nothing. But it made me realize, like, that's just a mindset. And I know that by simply shifting my mindset, I can achieve this or overcome this now. So I can carry that off with me into life outside of this experience.
And I learned 3 things that I wrote down. One is, don't get arrogant. You have to focus. And I think I can apply that to anything in my life. Just because I've done it before and I succeeded in it before, it doesn't mean that I don't need to try or focus on it again. Don't depend on things that may or may not be there. I depended on a hot spring that I thought was there and it wasn't. So don't bank on something that's not a certainty in your future, and don't position yourself for that. The third thing was recognize your limits. So I knew I could just, it wasn't my hands hurt or my ears hurt. Nothing actually hurt that bad. And then when I got to the hot springs and realized they're not that hot, I still got in because I was like, hey, it'll be a cool picture. So that was my third lesson, is know your limit and respect your limit, which I think is helpful in life.
Important thing I'm taking home with me is the incorporation of breath practice into my daily routine, to see how much a change breath can make in your internal fortitude, your alkalinity, sense of peace, was just so clear and apparent. It seems really important now to me to have breath as part of that.
So the tools were great, and then I think sharing experiences with a diverse group of people here was really helpful. I mean, hearing how someone else is overcoming something or what they're facing, it makes you feel like you're not the only one.
When we first got here, Ing had us sit and kind of meditate, close our eyes, and she said, all right, go outside yourself mentally and take a picture. Now go back inside yourself and take a picture from the inside out. So you have outside in and inside out. And then she said, compare them and come up with a word. My word was discrepancy, because from the outside it looked really peaceful. I'm sitting there, eyes closed, looks like I'm meditating. Inside it's a lot of turmoil, noise, emotion. It's not peaceful at all. She then had us do the exercise again at the end. And I didn't remember, I wasn't thinking about the first exercise. She said, go outside yourself, take a picture, inside yourself, take a picture. My 2 words for this were calm and together, because I was as calm inside as I was outside, and those two things fit together. It was no longer this huge discrepancy. She then said, compare that word and that experience to the first one. And that was when I realized the significance of what I just did, because I wasn't thinking about the first one. And I'm always looking for that ability to sit there and meditate and be calm and be quiet and have a quiet voice. And I found it after these 5 days. So that was a cool way to end the trip and a big accomplishment.
Yeah.
If I was going to leave a message for Daniel and Ing, it would be to keep doing what they're doing, because I think that their approach of inquiry and really allowing things to be as they're going to be, and also to explore more boundaries, is just beautiful to witness. And I think their experience in seeing how to sort of navigate things as they change was really a beautiful model for us to take out into the world. Just the ability to adapt and to go with the flow, and then of course thrive in that. So I really encourage them to continue doing that.